Today's podcast is actually a sequel to the How to Be a PA podcast that came out, probably about a year ago now, but I'll probably move it up to the front so that these are together. So without further ado, here it is for those getting into the business as PAs, which a lot of people are going to. Here is part 2 of what it takes to be a good PA and what your future may look like. Thanks. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out the breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, the musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Next up, we have Rochelle Brown, who is a friend and a Steadicam operator. She actually has an amazing podcast that she did for the op. It was one of, I think, the second or third we put out. So highly recommend, after you're done with this, go listen to that one, because she actually talks a lot about being a PA, but also other things. And Rochelle was she graduated from Savannah College of Art and Design. Eventually became a PA for a total of 3.5 years, and then worked her way into camera, and is now an up-and-coming Steadicam operator. So, Rochelle, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you. So tell me, so you graduated SCAD, and you became a Steadicam operator, and that was it, right?
Boy, do I wish.
How'd you get into PAing? Because SCAD's in Savannah. I don't know if I mentioned that. Well, I guess I did in the title. And then you drove out to California, right? I think you said that. And then how'd you get into PA work or start working? What'd you do?
So how I actually got into PA work, it goes back to my time at SCAD, actually. SCAD has this wonderful film festival every year, and I have a friend of mine who was also a film major. Her and I went to a panel, and there was this woman on the panel from this company called Participant Media, and we ended up asking her some questions that she liked what we asked her. And after the panel, we walked up to her and we're like, hi, blah, 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 asked her some more questions. And she told us about the company, Participant Media, that she worked at actually had internships. And she encouraged us to apply for them. And so what we did was during our senior year spring break, we flew out here with 2 of our other friends, shared hotel rooms, and we had set up interviews at the production company. So we interviewed and we got the PA the internship. And so we graduated in May. A day later, we packed up all of our belongings into a moving truck, and her mom drove our stuff out to LA, while myself and my then boyfriend drove our cars about a day later behind her. And so we set ourselves up. We all lived together. 4 of us lived together in a house in Pasadena, and the 2 of us ended up PAing at this company named Participant Media. But while I was talking to the HR woman, she mentioned this man named Davis Guggenheim. And she said, Davis also has an office where he takes PAs also. And, if you're interested, you can also PA there. And I go, yes, please. Absolutely. So I had actually 2 internships. So on Monday mornings, I would drive in my little 93 Honda Civic to Santa Monica. And I would do transcribing work on his documentary that he was producing at the time called Waiting for Superman.
Oh, great.
And then the other 2 days, I would go to my job at FedEx office that I transferred out here. And then the other 2 days, I went to my internship in Beverly Hills at Participant Media.
Wow.
And so I remember one day I heard that he was producing a show, and I'd been there for maybe a couple months at that point. and I heard that he was executive producing this TV show called The Defenders. And so I like summoned up all my strength and I saw him in the hallway. And Davis was a really nice man. Like he always spoke to me, said hello, whatever. And I walked up to him one day and I was like, "Hi, Davis. I heard that you're executive producing a TV show, and I was wondering, could I give you my resume and you could possibly pass it on to the production office?" Now, granted, I had no idea what any of this job meant. I just knew that I needed to get on a TV show in order to like get introduced to anyone in the camera department.
Yeah.
And so Davis, he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And I gave it to his assistant, and apparently she sent my info along to her. And I think maybe like a week or two passed, and I get a phone call from this woman, and she's like, "Hey, I got your info from Davis. We actually just had one of our PAs quit, so we're wondering if you could come in and interview for the job." And I'm like, "No problem, ma'am, no problem." So I go to their office, and at the time they were at LACS because they were the production team for this show called Numbers. And
Wait,
Numbers
what
was
was
ending.
LACS? LA Center
Los
Studios?
Angeles Center Studios.
Gotcha. Downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they were just finishing the last season of a show called Numbers. And this was going to be their new show that they were going to shoot the pilot for. And then hopefully got picked up to go to season. So I go in, I interview, and I get the job on the spot. And I am like elated. Like could not even control myself. And so I ended up starting at the end of the week, and they kind of like taught me what I needed to do. It was like, "Okay, you'll be making copies." And I'm like, "I got this. I worked at Kinko's for like 4 years in college. I know all this part." But what they taught me also was like the different departments and what everyone else did. And so I did the pilot, and luckily the show got picked up and they kept all of the office PAs. So there were 3 of us. And so when I interviewed for the job, I was really honest and I was like, "Yeah, like I'm really interested in the camera department." And the production coordinator, she was like, "Okay, no problem. We'll introduce you to the camera team. Like that's great." And so what they would actually do, like once we were in season, and we ended up moving to CBS Radford. And again, that was like my first time on any of those lots. And so I was one of 3 office PAs. And what one of my tasks would be was whenever there was a new distro that came out every week, I got to take it to the camera department. And so I got to meet, like, that's how I met Alan. Because Alan shot I think Alan shot the pilot of that show.
Alan Queso?
Alan Queso.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And I remember walking into his office, like bringing me his distro. And I was like, because I had like Googled him, of course. Yeah. I was like, "Hi, Alan, my name is Rochelle Brown. I'm interested in being in camera. And I saw that you used to be a Steadicam operator. And that's like what I really want to do, like ultimately." And I'm like nervous and shy. And I just remember him being so kind and just like, "That's great," just like really reassuring words, right? And so like I ended up like I stayed because the show only lasted 1 season, but during that whole time, because everyone in that production office knew I wanted to be in camera and just knew that I wanted to learn, they would teach me anything I asked. And one of the things I asked them just randomly, I was like, "Hey, is there any way that I can see like what it takes to make a TV show? Like, can I see like go on a location scout or something like that?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." So one of those episodes, I got to go location scout. I got to go on a tech scout. I got to be in production meetings. I got to go to a table read. I got to go to set. I got to go to post. I got to see like how the director worked with the editor. So I got to see the entirety of a production. Plus, I would go to the different departments when I had distro, and I would ask them like, "Hey, can I look at one of these location binders?" They're like, "Sure." And I got to see like what location costs were. "Hey, could I see a budget?" The UPM was like, "Sure." And he showed me a budget. So that was probably like, and I didn't realize this until now, but that was why they helped me, because I was just curious about everything.
Yeah.
Yes, I did want to be in camera, but I also wanted to know how the entirety of this production worked. And
Amazing.
I honestly feel like that has helped me like navigate in the different positions I've been in because I got to see, oh, okay, costumes, this is what they do. All right, I know how to talk to them and kind of how to communicate with them in their language. Oh, okay, the sound department, oh, the
Yeah.
office. I now, as a loader, have to go talk to the office. Hey guys, how you guys doing? Like knowing that like they're in the
Yeah.
office and it's kind of boring in there. Don't bring them your bullshit. Like be happy and jovial
That's
type thing,
great. Oh, that's great.
So
What? So
that's
how long did you stay as an office PA before you got on set as a PA?
I was only office PA for like a year,
Gotcha.
and it
And
was the
did you
first
ever get
season.
any pushback for, hey, I'm a PA, but what I really want to do is, and what I'm just, you think, but do you think it was just because of how you dealt, like how you suggested it, or
Yeah, I never got any pushback, but I also think it was the way in which I carried myself. Like I was never where I wasn't supposed to be.
nah?
So if I was in a production meeting, I would be in the back, really quiet, just listening. I was
Uh
never like, "Oh, hey, I got a question here." You know what I mean? I always
So don't do
knew,
that.
yeah, like you have to understand when to ask certain questions, and
Yeah,
you have to also understand kind of where you are on the rung. Like
sure.
sometimes certain people don't want to talk to you because you're a PA. And you got to be able to read that and be like, all right, maybe I shouldn't speak to this person right now.
Yeah. No,
Let's
that's
wait.
or even just timing, right? It's like I don't have any
Exactly.
problem with that you're a PA, but right now I got so many things going on, I just can't deal with it. Yeah, and you listen to that. So
Exactly.
eventually you made your way to set, and then
Yes.
you kind of had I think people would say a break, a lucky break, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah. And the way I made it to set was
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
yeah, interesting because in the bringing distro to camera department, I met the digital utility, this woman named Yuka Kadono. And Yuka and I became friends. And so when the show ended, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? I know no one. Kind of started to freak out. So that was like within my Craigslist days of just trying to find anything. And one day Yuka calls me and she's like, hey, Rochelle, so I'm Janusz Kaminski's assistant right now on this movie that he's directing. And I'm like, I know who Janusz is. Amazing. She's like, we need a camera PA. So I'm wondering, I'm like, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so I ended up I didn't do that many days. I probably did a total of like 5 days on the movie cuz Janusz was directing and another guy was DPing it. And I came in and one of the second ACs was name was David O'Brien and the focus pro was Mark Spath. And so Obi, he's known as Obi. Obi and I really hit it off. And so Obi started to just teach me things from day one. This is how we do this. This is how we do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I did that for like 5 days. I'm thinking nothing's going to come out of this. I'm back to my Craigslist music video days. And then I get a call I was actually at a Steadicam practice and I get a call from Obi, and he's like, "Hey, girl, so this camera assistant is gonna call you. Her name is Julie Helton. She's looking for a PA for a movie she's working on, and I told her that you would be great for this job." And I'm like, "Okay, I appreciate you, Obi." Now, at the same time this happened, because I used to scour Facebook for jobs, and I had seen someone post that they wanted a PA. And so I applied to her and I didn't know it was the same person.
Oh wow.
So she calls me and she's like, can you come into Panavision, Woodland Hills? We're just up here prepping and we just want you came highly recommended from David O'Brien. So I want to interview you. And I show up and it's for Django Unchained. And I swear to you, I nearly died because Quentin Tarantino was the reason I went to film school. And so I'm like, okay, cool. She interviews me and it was her and the loader. And I think Gregor was like doing camera test or something. But she interviewed me, and it was I honestly don't even remember the interview, to be honest with you, because I was just like, just ace this, Rochelle, just ace this. And at the end of the interview, I remember her saying, she looks at Gary and she goes, well, I feel good. I feel really good about you. You want to stay and continue to help us prep because you got the job. And it was like explosions all around me. I'm like freaking out in my brain and like trying to keep cool in front of her, but I'm like, oh my God, I can die right now. Just right now, I can die because I just landed a job on Django Unchained with my favorite director, Quentin Tarantino, with Bob Richardson. And so, like, literally got hired that day. And my first day on set was the scene in the movie where the KKK members are cresting the hill, the hillside on the horses and coming down and shouting at Django and Christoph Waltz's character. And it was like my first night shoot, and I just remember thinking, "Oh my God, how did I end up here?" and and so like I did the LA portion of Django. Um, Gary the loader, Abe Martinez, who's now a DP, he was the rigging second.
Yep.
Julie Hilton, she's no longer in the business. She's living her best life. And Gregor Tavernier and Bob. And like they honestly just taught me everything. Gregor taught me about lenses because there were like 28 different lenses on that show. And so it's like I had to know which ones were which, because if Julie called for one, I had to bring her the right case. And so between all of them, like Gary taught me about how to load those Panavision cameras. Abe taught me how to, like, what the different pieces of gear was when he was rigging it. Julie taught me how to be on set, showed me, like, watch me do these lens changes. This is how you hand it up. This is what you do here. This is what you do here. Gregor taught me about lenses. He's like, yeah, I know we have 350s, but each 50 does something different. And based on what I know Bob wants, I'll call for a different 50. And Bob was just like, he reminded me of my dad a lot. So I knew immediately how to deal with him. And so like Bob is still like one of my mentors to this day, but I would find a quiet moment and be like, hi, Bob. I have a question for you. Why did you put that filter in for that scene? And he'd be like, he'd look at me and go, well, I did it because this reason.
Yeah.
And then I would fade into the background.
But let me stop you for a sec, because you said something there that I think I think is important. Is you found a quiet moment. And I think that the fact that you stated that you did that, but also how you said it and whatever, I think that's probably why these people all wanted to work with you and keep you around, is because you clearly understand there's a time to be asking questions and there's a time to keep your head down and just do what you're doing. And there's probably a time to sit and do nothing and just wait until someone needs you, right? Like that's from a person getting on set, that's like, and I suspect, knowing you, that's probably a big part of why that and your personality is why you succeeded at this, where a lot of people wouldn't have. Because I mean, I've been on shows where you have a couple of PAs or trainees or whatever, and very quickly you sort of go, okay, that's the go-to person. And this person is a little tougher and I'm going to have to work with more. So therefore I'm going to the go-to person even more, because I want my job to be easier, even though I want to help people. I mean, do you think that am I accurate in that?
Very accurate in that. Yeah. Very, very accurate in that. Because honestly, I know that's what kept me around. Because after we did Django, Bob did, like, he shot the AFI thesis film for his wife at the time. And he's really good friends with this wonderful man named Eric Joyner. And he has this production company that they do commercials. And so they were using like Eric's equipment with the assistants that they work with in the commercial world. And it was like 2 to 3 day job. And at the end of it, one of the assistants was like, hey, we got a commercial coming up with Bob. You want to do it? Because you seem to know how to keep him happy and you know his gear. And I got to tell you, that kept me employed for about 1.5 years. Nice. I worked on all of Bob's commercials as his must-hire PA. And it was great because they would hire different assistants. So I got to meet a lot of different focus pullers. Like that's how I met Bob Hall. And Bob
Hmm.
Hall was like honestly really instrumental in hiring me in those early days because he met me there. But like, yeah, I would bring Bob his coffee every morning. I knew exactly how to make it. He would arrive to set. I'd bring him his coffee, his light meters. I'd take his backpack, and I would leave.
Yeah.
And then when he would call me on, I also ran his comm system that he has. So
Hmm.
it was like, here you go, comms. There you go. Here's your coffee, backpack. Amazing. And I'd be gone. And I'd come back when he needed me.
Well,
And
and
then,
what it sounds like with all these things is like, oh, when Rochelle's here, like things just kind of happen and get taken care of, and my job's easier. And then of course they probably want to then go, yeah, and let me show you about this when I have a minute because they want to help you, they
mhm.
want you to succeed. So
Yeah, that's
that's
exactly what they
fantastic.
did. They taught me, I learned so much about loading, seconding, focus pulling from being a PA because
But
those
all as
were,
a PA, all as a PA
yeah, all
because
as a PA
yeah,
because those were the times that I could absorb the most because I wasn't doing each of those
yep,
jobs.
yeah. Wasn't there some great story about you like cleaning a pop-up tent or something like that? Could
Yep.
you just share that? Because I think that perfectly illustrates what we're talking about here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was my first season on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I was a utility, and the A first AC was like, oh man, like a few days before, she's like, oh man, this pop-up tent that we use for Village is really dirty. We need to clean this. When we get back to stage, let's work on cleaning this. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to clean this tent. I really don't want to clean this tent. Okay. All right, fine. And so that day I knew because we had gone back to the stage, and that day I knew I was going to clean it. So I had this like Bluetooth speaker. So I brought it to work with me that day, and I had set everything up inside. I knew they were fine. I pulled the pop up out. I put my music in the center of it, got my cleaning supplies, and I was just like dancing as I was like cleaning this pop up, right? And I'm not thinking anybody sees this. And I'm
Yeah.
wearing my walkie and I'm dancing and I'm grooving. And all of a sudden I hear over walkie, hey guys, I just want y'all to know that Rochelle is outside dancing and cleaning a pop-up tent. And I gotta let y'all know she is better than I am because I would not be having fun cleaning a pop-up tent.
I love that
And
story. That
that is the
illustrates
moment that I
exactly what you're talking
realized.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yep.
like, oh,
I get it.
okay. Your attitude matters
Yeah.
in everything you do. And so,
100%.
yeah.
That's
Mhm.
amazing. That's amazing. Well, like, look, like I said, anybody who wants to hear more of this, and there's a lot more, and it's great, should listen to your podcast on the op because it was fantastic. But do you want to close with just you have any specific suggestions that you haven't already made to anyone coming out of film school or starting as a PA on how to succeed and maybe how to follow their dreams of wherever they want to go?
Yeah, I think the advice that I would give people is just because it's not the job that you want to do does not mean you should not put all of your effort into doing it. Because when someone sees you killing it in a job that they know you do not like, they're way more likely to hire you for the job that you do want because they see your dedication.
All right, so that was great talking to Rochelle Brown about her experience as a PA, and now to sort of finish off the second part of this "How to Be a Good PA" podcast, I have asked an AD team from here. I'm presently in Atlanta with some people that I've worked with before. So first AD Chris Kringle, key second AD Sarah Gorchik, and second AD Jackson Lips. They all work together, and they're just going to have a little conversation about what they expect from their PAs and whatnot, and all that. So thanks for taking the time to be here, folks. I appreciate it. You guys doing all right?
Yeah.
Oh, doing great. Happy to be
Doing
here.
good.
Very
Yeah.
excited. Okay,
Yes,
so
we are.
so first, maybe Chris, and then Sarah, and then Jackson. Can you just quickly tell the two people who are listening to this, like what your roles in the AD team are. So Chris, you first as the first AD.
Okay. Yeah, I'm known as the first AD, and basically my job is to take a script and break it down for all of the elements that exist in the script, whether it's cast, extras, animals, stunts, visual effects, special effects, props, costumes, basically anything that is required to make the show. I put that into a schedule, and I scheduled the show based on the director's vision primarily, secondarily, actor availability, and then finally, with respect to the five unions that govern our filmmaking. I adhere to those rules because we have very specific rules of when we can come to work and go home, and I put a schedule up. And then my job and my team's job is to help maintain that schedule via logistics, getting people to work, telling them when they can go home, and then basically setting the pace of the day and communicating with the different department heads so that they can be ready with the things that they need at the appropriate time.
But and when we're filming, I mean, you're sort of running the floor and making sure everything's moving. And I'm guessing, unbeknownst to me, swatting things that are coming at you at 100 miles an hour from all over the place.
Absolutely. Like the AD is always going to be a couple of shots ahead. We're going to be a scene ahead. So while we're setting up individual shots to create a scene, I'm always working in the background with my team, teeing things up so that we basically take the wasted air out of the day. Like a filming day is very expensive. You're
Yeah.
spending anywhere from $75,000 to $500,000 a day, and you need to maximize those dollars as much as you can.
Cool. Okay, so Sarah, what's tell me about your job.
I would say the most overarching thing on a day-to-day basis for the key second AD is the call sheet. So the call
Okay.
sheet is, there's one made for every single day that we're shooting. It has all the scenes we're going to do, the actors that are going to be in it, what time they need to be there, when they need to get ready, all the background, what time they need to be there, and all the crew and what time they need to be there. So, kind of all encompassing all those things that Chris just talked about, just like on a daily basis. All the minute details that go into that.
So you're generally not on the shooting set except for coming and going and figuring things out and communication.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah. It's a lot of in the AD trailer making phone calls and
Gotcha.
reading emails and all that fun stuff.
All right.
I would say if I was the today girl, Sarah would be the tomorrow girl, tomorrow lady.
I like that. That's great.
She's working on tomorrow and I'm on today, so.
That's very succinct. And then Jackson, second, tell me about your job.
Well, just to piggyback off of what Chris said, I am Chris's, the first AD's right-hand person on set, as Sarah's usually in base camp. She's the AD worrying about tomorrow, and I'm the AD helping Chris worry about today and helping keep the train on the tracks, managing the PAs, making sure we got the background in order, making sure the background's ready and we have what we need when we need it. Just Chris's support system, the first AD.
Okay. And missing from this equation, there's also a second AD as well. Yes.
That's Sarah.
Sarah. Oh. So the key second is the second. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm the second AD.
Why can't they just
the one
call
that's
it
on
third?
set? Whereas, like,
If
you were in Canada or the UK or something, it would be referred to as the third AD. But we don't.
Yeah,
do
and
that,
they also use
in the
metric,
States.
which makes a lot more sense. Which
Yeah.
is just like, come on, people, get with it. Okay, all right. So that makes sense to me. So I would guess then, am I correct then that Jackson, you're probably the person who's working most closely with PAs, even though everybody does a little bit. Are you? Or is
Correct.
that-
I mean, we all talk, and we're all on a group chat or something, working very closely together. But on set, yes, I'm usually the liaison between Chris and the PAs and so forth.
So if a new PA comes in, because this is really about being being a top-notch PA, what do you expect from them?
Showing up, being ready to work with a good attitude, and And that's really all it takes, and everything else comes in time with experience and just the willingness to be ready to work and having that good work ethic, because this isn't a job that's for everybody. It's a tough job. And we're at it 12 to 14 hours a day regularly, 5 days a week, sometimes six, depending, if the situation calls for it. And it's just the willingness is really what you need more than anything.
What
And
about,
and
are there things that they should know ahead of time? I mean, like if well, I will say non-objectively or objectively, maybe. I don't know what it is, but someone should listen to the first part of this podcast, which I'll probably re-release with this because those guys gave some great information. But what do you think of people? What, like, if you've never done it before and you're showing up on set, what are things that you should know?
I think take your time the night before and really thoroughly read the call sheet. If you have any questions, reach out to Sarah, the key second AD, or myself if you have any and all questions. Be aware of what the weather's going to be like. It's all going to be on the call sheet. If we're interior, exterior, you should know, have a good understanding of the day before it happens. And if you're on a show where you get emailed the sides the night before, make sure you read the sides. I usually I just want to know everything that's going to happen before it's happening. I know it's hard to do, but reading the sides, the portion of the script that we're shooting that day is very important in knowing what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And just being in communication with your team, showing up, finding the key set PA, or if you don't know where you're going to go, just report to the AD trailer, find a radio, talk to me, the second AD. I'm usually there pretty early. Sarah's probably already been there for an hour, 2 hours already.
Whoa.
Or the
Oh,
key set
jeez.
PA, and we'll get you going. And the key set PA or myself will try to give you a thorough understanding of how to use the radio. Hopefully, if you talk to me the day before, usually we have a group chain that we all talk on. And if it's something special we're doing the next day, whether it's going to be a bunch of weather happening, and I want to make sure everyone's has the proper gear to do that. So if it's raining, make sure you have some rain gear,
Mhm.
boots, be ready to be away from your house, apartment, your comfort zone for 12 to 14 hours. So have a backpack full of things that you think you may or may not need.
The thing about this industry is, like I said, we don't have an inbox. We don't get to come back and do a do-over. We don't leave things off for the next day. So whatever's on that call sheet is what we are accomplishing that day. And it's critical that we get it because more often than not, we are not coming back to that set, that location,
Mhm.
that place. That actor is not going to be available the next day. So timing is everything. And the thing that you learn in this industry is how to be a team player. And that's really sort of the crux of it, which is why Jackson is saying be engaged, be ready, listen on the radio. And a lot of the judgments of how producers see good PAs, or even how I look for PAs, is I want to know that you know what's happening all the time. Like the process of making a movie is the same thing over and over again. We're going to set up a scene, we're going to block the scene, we're going to shoot the scene one shot at a time. And we're going to do that over and over and over again. And the reason that the film industry can succeed all over the world is basically the process is exactly the same everywhere. So you as a crew member can go to basically any country, barring a language barrier, right? Pick up a call sheet and be able to plug in. That's what makes us unique in terms of a business, right? And what makes a great PA is knowing what's happening at any given moment. You can be standing in a lockup and be completely not engaged and on your phone. Some producer will come up and ask you, "What are we doing right now?" And you go, "I don't know." But right, and the good ones are going to say, "Yeah, we're on the second setup of blah 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 scene, and we're just turned around." And because all that information is coming on the radio all the time.
Yep.
And I think that's what makes a PA really stand out. And also, I also look for PAs that look for things to do when they've completed a task. They go to their superior, whether it's Jackson or it's Sarah in base camp, and they're like, "I'm done what you asked me to do. What can I do now?" Right?
Gotcha.
So Those are all things.
That's great. That's invaluable.
And
That's
that good in
fantastic.
between thing for a PA to do, whether it's a lot of background or crew on set. My go-to thing when I was a day player on a show was just pass out waters. If you don't know what to do, offer people waters, be available, knowing people's names. It's always it's really, really helpful.
That's a really interesting thing that you said, because actually the funny thing is, like, that'll happen and I'll be like, who is that? And they'll go, that's so and so. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's great. That's a really good tip. So Sarah, do you have like your own group of PAs who are dealing with Basecamp that you're in charge of then?
I mean, not so much. If we have a helper or two at base camp, they'll be mostly reporting to either our base camp AD or our base camp PA.
Okay. All right.
But I've certainly had a PA save the day once or twice by being at base camp and being at the ready to help me with something. Like,
Is that something you can share, like what that was? Is it specific, or you're just saying in general, like there's a like
I mean,
they've been there to help?
I feel like once or twice it's been early in the morning at base camp and I've looked around because something needed to be done and I'd be like, oh, the PAs aren't in yet, it's too early. But then there'd be that one PA that showed up super early and I'd be like, can we put you on the clock? I really need help with this. And like,
Yeah.
it's clutch, man.
That's
like,
great. That's fantastic. And the thing that I noticed that none of you mentioned was that none of them should ever look the Steadicam operator directly in the eye, which I thought was really important information to pass on. But maybe times are changing. I don't know. It's just I miss the old days. Are there any? So like we talked about dues. Can I ask each of you for something from the past where a PA did something that, and you don't have to name the PA, you don't have to name the show, but like just something that like you don't want, it's not a good thing to do. Like something that you've seen a PA do that's just like, don't do that. Do you have any? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chris is making a list. Come on. What do you got, Chris? Come on.
The most egregious was we had a PA that would frequently disappear, like just sort of be gone. We don't know where he is, but then he would show back up like 4 hours later, all hyped up and super engaged and dropped in and clearly high. So that was, and we couldn't really sort of figure out how to, even with there was warnings, how to make a change. So ultimately, what happened was we were filming overnight on stage, and the second AD caught him sleeping on one of the sets. So this is something you don't want to do. Just don't do that.
Yep. Okay, that's good.
You know.
So don't get high and don't sleep on the sets. Sarah,
don't sleep on the sets.
You have a story?
I feel like one of my pet peeves and like overarching things, and this is like almost a safety thing too, like when you're day playing PA and you're just getting started, you're bouncing from show to show. And what some PAs do is they book every show that comes. So they'll book Wednesday on one show and Thursday on another show, but then they don't ask about the hours. So I've had PAs on set on an overnight that are like, it's like 4 a.m. and they're like, yeah, when we wrap, I'm going to this other show. And it's like, please don't do that. Like, I know everybody's like wants to hustle and, get on as many shows as possible, but that's like one pet peeve. Because I've also had to like let PAs go early from a day working with me so that they could get home and get some sleep before their next day. And then it's like, then that's not a good look for you to me. Like, so then I remember that.
Well, and not to mention, if you're on the receiving end of the second day, you're not getting someone who's firing on all pistons, and at best is not doing a good job, but at worst is unsafe and driving and all that stuff. So that's actually a really good note. Jackson?
A pet peeve of mine is when we're rolling and you can hear people chattering on the other side of a wall of somewhere where a PA is locking up or should be locking up, and you go over right when you hear a cut to see that it's someone on your team being more or less loud or chatty. Whereas, as the AD department, we're the problem solving department. We're the solution. We need to be between rolling and cut focused. I mean, focus the whole day to the best of our ability, but I just don't like when people are chatting. This is also, I think this goes for everybody. It's kind of filmmaking 101. When we're rolling, just everyone please be quiet. It's a respect thing. And it's just, it's not always happening, but we do our best. We don't like shushing crew members. We never do. but sometimes we have to, and it's a pet peeve when someone from our team is causing the noise.
So let me
But
ask you a question on
yeah.
that note, because you've got a PA who's I don't I mean I'm going to say this just because, but they're sort of towards the bottom rung of the ladder as far as their power. Let's put it that way. And they may have to go up to anybody, a producer, a DP, whatever, and ask them to be quiet. Like how, because that's a weird power dynamic, right? And I'm sure that if you're
Hmm.
new, that's a tough thing to do. So how is there a better way to do that? Like how do you do that?
I think producer, you go up to them and softly tell them, "Hey, we're rolling," and a good producer will respect you for it.
Yeah,
A DP, probably the same approach, but they're usually in their in the DP tent
in the
doing their
tank.
thing,
Yeah,
and they know what's going on. But I'd say the producers, yeah, tell them to be quiet. I've had producers thank me for it because they usually, don't know what's going on. They may be there, but they don't always know what's going on. And on top of that pet peeve thing, I think just being on your phone too. I wanted to mention is a
yeah,
sign of not being very engaged when you have everyone taking pictures all the time of everything that's going on. Because sometimes you're working with the biggest movie stars in Hollywood and people are taking videos. And I don't like seeing our team members um, doing that. There's a time and place for it. And especially if you have rapport with people like that, it's one thing, but that's just something I didn't mention before. But yeah, I think doesn't matter who it
no,
is,
that's great.
at least let them know that we're rolling and be polite about it. Always approach people with the utmost politeness. And if they brush you off, they brush you off. We all we do is inform. That's all we can do. And if they don't want to listen, they don't listen.
That's great, Chris.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, some of the most interesting stuff we do is we get to watch actors transform themselves into another character and literally become someone else to the point where I've witnessed like scenes that have brought tears to my eyes. And so that space that we create for these actors to deliver this drama, this story, this thing that is going to carry this to our audiences is truly important. And it's easy to sort of, when you're in a big crew, to forget about that's the central focus of what we're doing versus all the other little things that we do to get to rolling is that sacred space that will allow that miraculous magic to come to life. And, and I think some people just don't respect that for whatever reason. Most of us do. But there are some, maybe they're not on the rolling part of the set. Maybe they're on the prep, rigging something or doing something where they may not be a part of that on a daily basis. And those are the people that we usually end up clashing with because their schedule is different than ours,
That's
you
great.
know.
That's fantastic. Anybody else have anything else they want to throw in before I ask you my final question?
Um, Even when it's MOS, when we're MOS and sound is not rolling, I think a lot of people start rapping out or what have you. And it's important to remember that performances, there may not be sound, but performances are still being had, and that respect factor is still in place.
I like that.
Yeah, and I have one more thing to add. Like for people that are just starting out, like being a PA is the great starting place for wherever you want to go. You may have designs to be in the camera department, the sound department, the prop department, but you're going to learn the patterns, the systems, the rhythm. You'll understand how it all goes together so that when you do get an opportunity to go to those other departments, your experience as a PA is not lost at all. It's going to be the very foundation that you're going to need, and it's the place where you learn the most. You get to float between all the departments versus being very specific when you become a member of a certain department.
And if I'm a new PA and I want to eventually be in camera, do I tell you guys that? Do I go, hey, I'd love to be in camera if you could put me there? Yeah,
Yes, the
Yeah.
first AD a lot of times can really help with that.
No, I'm all for that. I want to know. I always want to know if people want to join other departments because I want to help you get there, and I've helped some people get there. But they're also what we're doing for the day is still uh, whatever's happening in front of the camera is usually the most important thing happening, and shouldn't be treated as such. And if you want to be in camera, go by all means. Talk to the camera department. You want to be in props? Be in props. But
That's great.
we still have to do our jobs at the end of the day. But being a PA is a
Yep.
great way to take it all in and to feel out what you want to do.
What are some of the things that, like, as a crew member, as a cameraman, you find? Uh, well, there's two sides of this coin. What's annoying, and what's something that's spectacular for you as a crew member when a PA interacts with you?
That's a good question. This is my podcast. You're not allowed to ask me questions. No, well, look, I would say the things that annoy me are probably similar to what, people being on their phone, people not paying attention, people not, I mean, it's the standard stuff, right? But I will say one thing, which I think is worth mentioning, and I'm sure this works for you as well. I will run into PAs who really, really are, in my case, interested in Steadicam or interested in camera operating or whatever. And I'm totally cool with them talking to me about it. But they got to pick their moments and like, I'll have a PA. Like if I'm on a remote head, right, and I've asked for a PA to stand with me so that I can relate to the AD or relate, so on. And they're that person who's really interested in the remote head. It's like, absolutely, we can talk about this at lunch, or I'll even like bring you out at lunch and like have you mess around with it, but like right when I'm trying to like figure something out is not the time to go, hey, what does that button do, or what is this? And I always feel badly because like I never want to sort of like smack that down, because you always want people to be interested, but at the same time it's like, dude, this is not a good time to do this, because Robert De Niro is there doing one take and I or whatever. So yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. And then I would say, the things that are great are like when they've got all the answers, and I go, hey, can you ask the AD blah blah blah? Yeah, I'll check with them, but I'll just let you know I heard over the walkie that or whatever. And sometimes when they're actually queuing us in on things that they're hearing that are coming down the pike, just so hey, we just heard that the actor's going to be another 15 minutes if you want to do another rehearsal or whatever. So I think passing on that information, it's just having your head in the game. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. This was really great. There was a lot of information. I learned a lot, which is always a plus. And I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody. But since I have three of you, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to ask Sarah first, and then Jackson, and then Chris. But the thing is, you can't say what someone already said, so you got to come up with your own answer. So Sarah, you can say whatever you want, but Jackson and Chris, you have more time to think about it. So the question that I ask everybody when I finish is advice for anyone getting into the business today on how to succeed, or something that you wish you knew back when you started that you know now.
I mean, I guess honestly, it's just like if you're super green and it's going to be your first day on a set ever, like don't panic. Like literally everyone standing on a set has had that day. And so you shouldn't like Jackson was saying earlier, like read your call sheet the night before. Like if you don't know how to make heads or tails of a call sheet, your day one, you can literally ask any other PA. And I feel like when I first started out, I was like deer in the headlights, like I look crazy, but it's like literally everybody has had that day. So I guess I would say that.
That's great. Jackson?
I'd say introduce yourself to the ADs and let your superior or let somebody know that it's your first day. Because I always tried to fake it, but there's moments where I wish somebody knew, and I kind of played it off like, oh, that's where someone would come up to me and be like, oh, that's not how you do that, and I'd just be like, oh, duh, yeah, obviously, and they'd show me how to do it. But I think just try to learn everyone's names and be respectful of everybody around you. Be a sponge, take everything in, everything you possibly can, and it's what we do is a lot of fun, and it's really cool seeing the end product. But I think it's important to know and to remember that a lot of people see film sets as playgrounds, but they're actually construction sites, and it can be dangerous. So you need to be careful. And I learn something every single day to this day, so it doesn't stop. Um, just it all comes with experience, and you just got to take it day by day.
That's great. And Chris.
Yeah, mine is sort of on the same line, but yet different. You're going to be dropped into a group of 120 people that have various degrees of experience, anywhere from a veteran to a 1 year novice. And sometimes meshing all of those personalities and getting all of the people working in symphony and concert with one another can be difficult. And sometimes there's just going to be days that are just hard. And there are going to be personalities that are, um, some people, come to work and they've had a bad day that day. And you just can't take all of that to heart and you can't wear it. You have to go home at the end of the day and review uh, what happened and think about where you could do that better and know that you're if you stick in this long enough, you are going to make a large group of friends and acquaintances and workmates, and you are going to run into people that maybe you didn't have a great time with. And so it's really important to make sure that you end on a good note. Do you know what I mean? You keep your energy and your attitude to the very end. Because if you think, well, I'll never see that person again, so it doesn't really matter, that's not true. You'll run into those people again. So it's really important to stay professional all the way through. And if you don't know the answer to something, it's okay. It's okay to say, let me get the answer versus trying to fake your way through it, because teamwork is everything.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.